It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tauntauns. I am your host, Jim Lehane, and with me, like always, is Nicole Herview.
I'm here, like always.
And with us, making his triumphant re-return from last week, who we didn't know if he'd come back, is JJ Travers.
It's 2 weeks in a row. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have to do a heartfelt farewell every single episode, just in case.
No.
No. You know what? Never mind.
You got it last week. That's it.
The funny thing is that when I was uploading the episode, apparently it glitched, and because I always listen to it right after it releases, it cut out right before your heartfelt thing, so I had to re-upload the episode. So if you did not hear the end of the episode, that's because it cut out. So the actual full-length episode is up there now.
It's a real tearjerker.
It is. It was very upsetting for all of us. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. I'll be shocked if I make it to 3. My wife will be really mad because that will mean our son is not born yet. She is really ready for that to be happening. So we'll see.
It could happen any minute. If he just suddenly leaves the episode,
we all know why.
It's go time.
Or my internet
Thundercats or go.
All right, how are you guys doing? I know how JJ's doing. How's Nicole doing?
Nicole's doing fine. Can't stop talking about Stranger Things, so this will be really fun. I will find a way to talk about my husband, Eddie Munson, and I will do it every day. I don't care.
Nicole and I were so excited about Stranger Things, so we hopped on a Discord call for about 3 minutes before the show started to quickly discuss. If you haven't seen it, it's really good. This is my favorite season since season 1.
Yeah. I have to see the end of it because obviously they're splitting season 4,
2 more
not
episodes.
Obviously, into volume 1 and volume 2.
Which, real quick, what's the point?
To torture us. And that's it. I mean, they were long episodes this season. They were like, okay,
which I loved.
You get like an hour and 15 minutes every single time. And I was like, wow, the runtime of this season is bananas. So I wasn't mad about it. I might, once this season is over, like this season better than season 1, which would be very difficult, but they're really close to making me love this season more than season 1. But yeah, that's, not Star Wars, but it's close. Came out on the same day as Obi-Wan, so we were like, it was fighting for the attention. And here we are.
I don't know if there was much fighting going on.
There was fighting in my heart. I was like, what do I do first?
Maybe in your
heart.
And
I think a lot of us were like, what do we do first? And the answer was Obi-Wan because it's just 2 episodes, so we were like, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did as well.
Yeah.
We're like, it's only 2.
Once I started Stranger Things, 24 hours later, I was done with it. So there you go.
Oh, wow. You moved a lot quicker than I did. It took us.
Well, I don't have a pregnant wife, so.
That's true.
No, I just have a kidnapped, maybe murderer, husband who's on television. So
you need to qualify that.
I was like, what?
No, he's obviously not a murderer, and he's in the Upside Down. He's goodbye. Sorry for spoilers, but whatever. I love him.
Yes. We watched the mid-season finale last night. It was like an hour and 45 minutes. It was amazing. Took my wife out to dinner for her birthday. We watched Stranger Things. It was great.
That's a great evening.
I have to share something really quick with you guys and the listeners before we get going, because you're going to hear some crinkling soon. It's okay. It's normal. When we watched my friend's daughter, she requested a few snacks. This was one of them. Changed my life. Had no idea these existed. Haven't had this brand of chips in years. Blew my mind how good they are.
Oh, Cheetos.
Well, no.
Cheddar jalapeno crunchy Cheetos.
Yes, the cheddar jalapeno is key, because normal Cheetos, I don't care, but these are unbelievably good.
Well, that's going to ruin my day. So thank you very much. JJ, I'm going to have to go to Target right now. Thank you.
They're seriously unbelievable. I've never had them before. I can't believe how good they are.
That's awesome. That's a good shout. We do love a crunchy Cheeto in my household. And by my household, I mean me and my cat. And he doesn't care. So me. I like crunchy Cheetos.
This episode brought to you by Cheetos, apparently.
Sponsor us.
Sponsored by Cheetos and the Duffer Brothers. Thank you.
All right. I guess we'll talk about Star Wars now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's fine.
All right. I got one piece of news.
Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
Hello, what have we here?
Apparently, when we were discussing all the new shows released, or information about the new shows released from Celebration last week, and I think we rattled off maybe like 300 or so shows. We missed one. There was another show that we did not talk about. I was surprised as you. Called the Young Jedi Adventures. Now, it is going to be more geared towards younger viewers as it's being released on Disney Junior and Disney Plus, but it's set in the High Republic time period.
Ooh.
That's the ooh. Yeah, you're right.
It's one of those like, oh, a younger show, but wait. Also, the Clone Wars was supposed to be a younger geared show too, and we
saw a lot of people get murdered in that.
Yeah, and same with Rebels, and that was a masterpiece of cinema.
Yeah, so it's animated show. We don't know much about it yet, except for what I've just said. It's coming out spring of next year. They have a Twitter account which has 2 followers. 50% are me.
2 followers. One of them's this guy.
So,
I good luck on Twitter, young Jedi.
Well, yeah. Don't. The Empire will find you.
My favorite thing about the show is Young Jedi Adventures. We have a name for a young Jedi, and that would be Padawans. So what? I mean, are these young Jedi Knights? Who are these people?
Well, they could be. Well, the problem is that they can't call them Young Jedi Knights because there is a book series called Young Jedi Knights.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what is this? Is it the Youngling Adventures? If you called it the Youngling Adventures, I might get excited about it. I don't know.
They're running out of names.
They're running out of words.
Speaking of the Young Jedi, kind of wrap it around to last week. Remember in the Clone Wars that episode with Ahsoka where we had the young Jedi getting their lightsaber crystals?
Yes, our little boy, yes.
Great episode.
There was the Wookiee Gunji. Gunji is in the Bad Batch preview.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, we didn't mention it. I'm like, Gunji!
There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on.
Oh, speaking of Bad Batch, I saw that it wasn't officially announced, but it leaked somewhere through something. Somebody took a picture of something with their phone. But it's now official. It's coming out on September 28th.
Damn.
Interesting. That may actually overlap with Andor. Actually, they'll definitely overlap with Andor if they're releasing all 12 in a row.
They have too much content.
Late September's a lot for me. Jesus.
Are you putting this in your book?
No, it's just like my calendar is just chock full of nonsense.
I'm busy that day. Can it maybe the next day? I got things going on.
I have to see my chem. Can you hold off? Go on.
Well, that's all I have for the news.
Kinda.
So with that, I actually, before we get into the main topic of conversation, I had a pleasant conversation, an interview of sorts, about a book called Timelines that's not scheduled to come out till later this year. I was able to talk to Kristin Baver, Jason Fry, and Cole Horton at Celebration, and so I could jump us there now.
We would be honored if you would join us.
I am gathered here today with 3/5 of the authors of the new Timelines book, which is coming out November? Fall. I thought I heard November. But fall, which November does qualify, apparently.
Counts.
So I have Kristin Baver, Jason Fry, and my second favorite Star Wars rock, Cole Horton.
Aw, thank you.
You're behind Geode.
Well, I would place myself behind Gio.
So, who wants to tell me basically the premise of the Timelines book?
Oh, wait, no, 2 out of 3 pointed to Kristin Baver. Okay. So the premise of the Timelines book is to lay out all of the events in Star Wars continuity into an actual timeline. So naturally, if you put all those things along a continuous timeline, it's several hundred pages and a whole lot of spreadsheets.
So, as someone who does timelining, I have it in a solid line. That is not what you guys did, because in the panel today, you were showing that it wasn't just a set of events.
Right.
But they got organized per categories, or...
So it's kind of twofold. It is those events chronologically, and then there are also special breakout spreads where, like, you saw the Skywalker Saber, which Jason wrote, and that goes beautifully around the Skywalker Saber, but really tells the breakout story of that particular item. You have the same thing happening with the Death Star plans, because there were some things that we just thought contextually, it really helped to have them broken out and to see this really important event or this really important object on a single spread, as well as, of course, you'll see those things popping up throughout the regular timeline. Same with the battles. Battles is another really good example where you can't just put it all on one timeline because there's events happening in 3 different places all at once.
So, which actually kind of relates to what you were saying about your spread, which is the High Republic. Yeah. And from what I've gathered, almost everything takes place within a year and a half. Yeah. Of what we have seen currently, minus any of the flashback scenes in other books and media.
Yeah, a large portion of the High Republic storytelling that we have today takes place over a few years. There are flashbacks, of course, which are covered. There are some events that are in the High Republic era, as we would call it, that do take place early on. But yeah, a lot of it is really condensed over just a couple of years. And even within those couple of years, there are some hot spots where a lot of the storytelling happens. And so had to peel that apart and figure out really where do each of those hit on that one single timeline.
So, of the events that you were putting together, did anything stand out and go, yeah, this can't happen?
Well, it all happened. For standouts of how easy it was to put together, each of us did an era, as well as Clayton Sandell and Amy Ricco, our other 2 authors. And I suspect we all knew the kind of hot spots in our era where it's like, how do we navigate that? And for me, it was Sifo DS. There was this wonderful email I got one day, which is from our terrific editor, Ruth Amos, who was like, how does the whole Sifo DS thing work anyway? And I was like, and then, you feel like you're jumping off a 400-foot cliff and hoping you're landing at the bottom. But, the what that led to, though, was some really fun, amazing conversations with fellow authors, with the story group, etc. And it would have been like the best Star Wars podcast ever. It was so nerdy and in-depth, and I loved every bit of it. So, even the parts we knew were hard were really fun to get through in service of the book.
We should make that Star Wars podcast.
Wouldn't it? Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
We should do that.
Me talking to the story group about Scarif and Leia and where is she and Rogue One.
I would listen to it.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this. This is so amazing.
Well, and it's interesting you point that out, because there were just moments where you kind of understand contextually roughly when it might happen based on what happens in the film or what someone says. But then when you're trying to plot that out on a timeline, you're sitting there going, I don't have enough information here. I have no idea. For my portion, that was actually, when does the Millennium Falcon actually get stolen from Han Solo? The first time.
I've had that same trying to put it in the timeline because it's not been narrowed down as far as I'm aware.
Yes. So that was the subject line of my email to the story group as well when I got to that point, because I was like, I'm kind of guessing around here, but my guess is about a 15 to 20 year span, and that's not going to cut it for this book necessarily, so I'm going to need some help.
So I've noticed the story group has a lot of things they know, but they won't tell anybody else.
Pablo's hair is filled with secrets.
But one thing we need to be careful of, though, and this is true in any Star Wars project, though, is leaving space for future storytelling. So in some places we've been able to, really narrow something down, and sometimes with a bunch of emails, I love, can Jason justify this placement that he has in his head? Which sometimes I'm like, yes, I can, and I'm so excited. And sometimes I'm like, well, maybe.
It looks good.
Yeah, but other places, you do want to leave some wiggle room so you're not limiting future storytelling. So, then sometimes a range where it could happen is where you wind up.
Yeah, and I think you see the same thing happening when we're looking at our own history, where some things have happened so far in the past that if you're dating an object that you find in an archaeological dig, you're going to look at it and go, estimated, here's whereabouts we think this, existed. Here's whereabouts we think this is from, but you may not know exactly, and that's okay too.
As a paleontologist, that perfectly
I knew that
fits.
was going to play well to you. I knew.
Just want to say thank you so much for coming and talking to me. I know you guys are all super busy at the con, but this has been super fun.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. We're so excited about Timelines. We can't wait for everyone to get to read it.
Always good to chat.
And we're back.
Wow, Jim, that was a great interview. Good job.
That's professionalism, right?
That's
there.
that's the confidence I have in your content.
It was a great interview.
Giving it my seal of approval after not hearing it. So.
Yeah. So, but from here, I think we have some talking to do about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Would you say Talkin Tauntauns?
No, there's no Tauntauns in the episode.
You know what? I'm going to throw myself out that window. So, all right, let's talk about Kenobi. My boy.
Obi-Wan
Kenobi. Kenobi!
Ben Kenobi, where is he? Come on.
Part 3. We're halfway there.
Yeah, what? Like, the show came out like a week ago, and we're halfway done with it, and I hate that.
Well, that's what happens when they give you 2 episodes on the first week, and it's only 6 episodes long.
Yeah, and then they're like, what's a Friday? We're going to release on Wednesday.
Yeah, it was even less than a week before the new episode, and I was completely blindsided when it was released on Wednesday. I'm like, wait, what? The new episode?
But hey, that's fine.
But part 3, we pick up right where we left off with Obi-Wan reeling over the news. Anakin's alive.
He's what? Spoilers, Jim.
He's alive.
I thought Anakin Skywalker died on Mustafar.
He did not, apparently.
Allegedly not.
And Reva's just dropping the name Anakin like it ain't nobody's business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little surprising. I wonder how she's aware of that.
I wonder how Vader feels about that. If he's not going to be like, listen, I told you, like Scar, never to mention that name. Like, jeez.
I was planning on rewatching the episode, of which I was so tired I fell asleep during the second rewatch. But when I restarted the episode, I was amazed with how much ground this third episode covered. I'm like, wait a second. The third episode starts with Obi-Wan just getting on the ship. I thought that was like the episode before this one. I didn't realize it was this episode that we go from Obi-Wan getting on the ship, them on the planet, all the way to the confrontation, which is like the second half of the episode. It feels like 2 complete episodes to me.
It's a long one, and it just doesn't feel long. It's just packed with stuff.
We have a few Easter eggs. I want to talk about those, if that's okay, unless you guys have something you're dying to dig into.
Really.
I found out about this one after the fact, but a few things. So the very amusing driver of the random transport out in the desert, Freck.
The mole man?
The trucker.
Yeah.
The conservative trucker. Go on.
The mole man. Do you guys know who played Freck?
Zach Braff doing a great Seth Rogen impression.
Yes, I really.
Is that I saw Zach Braff's name in the credits, but I couldn't figure out who he was.
Yeah, that's who it was. Doing his best Seth Rogen.
So
I
it's
thought
actually
it was great.
That's based on a real animal, the star-nosed mole.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. That is really cool. I didn't know that though. They're really cool. It was a cool character. I was like, look at this absolute scrub. Like, just an absolute bootlicker. Look at this guy.
With his Confederate flag. I mean Empire flag on the back of his pickup.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I was like, wow, am I in West Virginia? What's going on? Just bananas character. Really
I really liked how much of a scumbag he was. I thought it was very funny how he just sold them out in a second.
I laughed quite hard at how nice he was and then how not nice he was. I was like, I don't trust this is like, as a New Jerseyan, okay? This is why I don't trust nice people. Okay, people from the South come here and they're lovely, lovely people, or from, up north or whatever. They come here and they're nice and they say hi to you. And we're like, what are you doing talking to me? And that's how I felt with this guy. Like they mean well. I mean, in real life, these people mean well and are fine people and lovely. And I'm just like, why are you speaking to me? Because we just don't do that. So that's what that whole character reminded me of. It was just very funny.
My favorite line in the entire episode was when Leia starts going off on her story, kind of trying to give them a backstory, but she's a kid, and so she kind of like embellishes and like things don't make sense, and Freck just kind of looks at her and goes, "That's a weird story."
Yeah,
I laughed
so
hard.
It was just very funny. My favorite was when she's like, "Father, aren't you gonna say hello?" And he just goes, "Hello." Like, doesn't like the perfect opportunity for a hello there, and they were like, "No, you're not gonna get it." And I was like, "Good, okay." That would have felt weird, but it was
whole
just
that whole like conversation with him right at the beginning. I was laughing. It was
so
hilarious.
good. But Leia and Obi-Wan had so many great moments. These are two fantastic actors, and one is like 10. So impressive. Their discussion of the Force on the ship, A+, excellent, loved every second of it. But them talking to the stormtroopers in the back of the truck, and like when Obi-Wan goofs and calls her Leia, and like then they like have to, brush it off.
I
and
get
it's
confused.
Like this tense moment. But yes, I get confused. Like when I look at her, I see her mother's face. That was real, and I got emotional. I was like, oh my lord. I love the Obi-Wan Padme like friendship so much. I love that interaction. Like, it's just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I loved every second of it. Great acting moment. Very good.
I feel like they're building more on the Obi-Wan Padme relationship here than we've ever actually gotten before. Like, we didn't really see much of it even during like the cartoon series or anything.
Yeah,
but it's
we
nice.
got hints of it. We got like
did.
These two have known each other for ages and ages and ages.
Yeah,
but like they didn't have like a buddy episode or anything like that. And I feel like I would love that story to be told one day. But
yeah. I really liked that interaction where he's like, "Oh, I get confused," because you kind of like he's playing the senile old man, and it's kind of heartbreaking because you're right. He brings up Padme without mentioning her, and she realizes it too. It's like, you knew my mother, didn't you?
Oh,
and he never responded to that question because she immediately goes into, "Wait, you're my daddy."
Yeah, no. We call him daddy, but no, he's not your daddy. No, it's like the way people are getting really like into him being like, I wish I could say I was. And I'm like, no, he doesn't like Padme. Like, people are really attaching to that. And I'm like, that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is he wishes he could be that for you because he knows you don't have like that relationship with Anakin.
Because your dad's a mass murderer.
Right.
Yeah.
And he kills younglings and whatnot.
I didn't see that, but you're right. It's has
so
nothing to do with Padme at all.
I was like, shut up.
It has to do with Leia. Leia as a person. He wants to be a father to Leia.
Right. It's almost as if Obi-Wan sees women as people. It's almost like that's a thing.
That's weird.
Yeah, right? Very strange.
That's a weird story.
He doesn't have to be romantically or familially, like attached to them to give a crap about them. It's almost like that. No, he adores this little girl so much, even though she bothers the hell out of him, and it's great. It's so sweet. Their relationship is adorable, and I love it.
Their on-screen chemistry is really good. It doesn't. It feels like totally natural, which is nice, because it is such an important relationship. You know, it's the daughter of his brother and a woman that he cared about very much, and it's also like maybe one of the last best hopes for the galaxy. So there's a lot of responsibility and past.
That's the only line that I'm not happy with. I never really liked that from Obi-Wan, the like, that boy's our only hope, and then Yoda say like, no, there is another. And now it's like, my guy, my boy, my Obi-Wan, my Ben, you hung out with the other one. You should know. Like it.
But he didn't remember it at the time.
I guess. Dead Obi-Wan didn't remember that.
Yeah.
No, hey, listen, I'm not gonna get into all that. Let's keep going.
Another Easter egg that I really enjoyed. Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan Voss. That's a big one.
This is a big one.
Not much of a Easter egg. This was not hidden in the background. This was like...
No, but I do think, like, my wife is a Star Wars fan, but she had no idea who that was. I feel like there's a lot of people watching that were like, hey, that's a name that he recognizes, but it doesn't mean anything to me personally.
Well, at least he was in the Clone Wars series, so he has been in canon. Besides his appearance in the movies,
he was also in the Dark Disciple novel.
Great book, such a good book. Yeah, great.
Yeah. He was also in The Phantom Menace.
He was in The Phantom Menace in the background,
and he was in a ton of Legends content. Lots of comics, books. He was huge in Legends, and the character is just like really interesting. His ability, I forget what it's called, but basically he can touch something and like he basically can visually see in his mind like the history of the object, like who's handled it and where it's been. It's like something that his people are able to do. But yeah, great character, has been in some really cool stories over the years, and it's nice to see them mention him in this show, because I would love to see him in live action. And you know, well, you know,
I know what you mean.
Currently,
yeah.
And we saw what's his face say it. I don't remember his character name. I'm a Jedi with magnets.
Kamal Nanjiani.
Yeah, I just don't remember his character's name.
Me neither.
But either way, we saw him say like, "You're not alone, Obi-Wan," and then you know he meets Tala, Indira Varma's character, and he meets he finds, you know, that Quinlan was there, and we see the Jedi crest scratched onto the wall. So
we see essentially the Underground Railroad.
Yeah, and it's cool because I feel like you see like this little bit of like hope in his eyes when he sees that, like kind of sinks in that like maybe I'm not, you know, it's not just me, like maybe there is people out there doing something. Like he's not there yet, but you can see like the little glimmer, like the little spark, and I'm hoping by the end of this, you know, he's like fully back on board, but he's like, I gotta train Luke. That's what I can do to help. But yeah, either way, really cool that Quinlan Voss got mentioned. I liked that a lot.
I saw online, so you know it's true. I can't read Arabic. I have no idea what's going on. I couldn't tell you if this was fake or not. But I saw that someone saw that on the wall, Caleb Doom's name was on there. And I thought that was really cool. Like, he had been there. He had gone through that.
That is
allegedly. Awesome. Big, bold, allegedly letters.
Nicole, do you want to explain who that is for everyone?
Caleb. That's Kanan Jarrus.
He was in the Bad Batch, I think. That
right.
Caleb Doom.
He
guy.
was. No, he's our boy. He's our Freddie Prinze Jr. boy. Yeah, Kanan Jarrus from Rebels. Big deal, big boy, big man. We love him. Big we talked about him for like 4 weeks. So Kanan. Yeah. Allegedly that's in there. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's all.
I don't read Orbesh either. But psychometry. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, that sounds right.
Is the force power you were talking about, being able to read an object's history by touching it. So
nice.
We get Obi-Wan looking for help on the planet.
And to see a paw. That's all I got. That was cute. Sorry, go on.
And they're wandering the backwoods, get picked up by our fun friend Freck. Freck or Feck? I don't.
Freck, I think.
Freck.
And they basically fall into the hands of Tala. Was that
Tala? Yep.
Yeah, and she's a Game of Thrones star.
She was good in Game of Thrones too.
She was so good in Game of Thrones. I didn't love the Dorne situation, but what I did love was her and Pedro Pascal, and now they're both in Star Wars, doing great, and I'm very happy for them.
I was super happy to see her. I'm like, hey, I know who she is.
She's so good.
She basically gets him onto this underground Jedi railroad, and we have an old friend show up. And this is probably at this point, this episode turned intense. Like, super intense.
I didn't breathe for like 30 minutes.
And I did have a little bit of a problem at the beginning here.
Okay, my problem's in the middle, but you go first.
Okay, so Vader shows up, and the other Inquisitors are here, but they essentially don't matter anymore. At least at this point, in this point of the story. But Vader is just randomly killing the villagers. Yes, and I don't understand why.
To draw Obi-Wan out, very simple. He was killing people to make Obi-Wan come out and stop him.
I think it's two-pronged. So Nicole hit the first one on the head. I think it's to draw him out. But I also think it's simply to hurt him. He wants to make him suffer, and seeing Anakin do this, he knows that seeing him do this will hurt him, and he knows that seeing innocent people die will hurt him. I think he just wants to cause him pain, and I feel that way because later into the episode we see him, like, he could have clearly, in my opinion, killed Obi-Wan multiple times quite easily, but he doesn't want to. It's not supposed to be quick. He says it to him. It's not supposed to be quick. I feel like everything he did in this episode was very deliberately aimed at making Obi-Wan suffer and drawing it out as long as possible. And that's what I saw with the villagers. Like, yes, he wants to draw them out, but it's also like, I'm going to kill innocent people because you're here. It's your fault. I'm going to make you watch.
Yeah, and he's a savage. It is so intense. They really were like, oh, you're afraid of Vader? Now you're really afraid of Vader. Just like absolutely relentless, like absolutely zero remorse. It was insane to watch.
So that I felt like it was one of those like pandering to the fans. It kind of like Vader's gonna kill people because Vader kills people sort of things, where it wasn't necessarily story driven. Like I can see, I understand what you guys are saying. I just feel like it wasn't needed.
Well, I disagree.
Yeah, respectfully, Jim, disagree. I had a problem later when they're actually like face to face, Obi-Wan and Vader. And it's just like this stupid cat and mouse thing for like 10 minutes I'm like, this can be quicker. Can we move on? Can we just, like, it's
where
just
they're
like.
just running away from each other?
Running away. Like, and I understand that Vader can't run. Like, he functionally cannot run. He has to walk. So Obi-Wan just like running away works. But like, that could have been one big like fight. Instead of like, let me hit your lightsaber 3 times and turn around and run away. Like, I get that you're establishing that Obi-Wan is scared to death. I get that. But it really screwed up the pacing for me. Like a lot. Like a lot. And then it ended with this absolutely phenomenally, again, savage, brutal moment of like, I'm gonna set your ass on fire like you did to me. Here you go, buddy. And it redeemed everything else. And also just the line, what have you become? I am what you made me. Unbelievable. Like chef's kiss everywhere.
Also, you wondered how Obi-Wan aged so much in those 10 years from this point to A New Hope. Well, he was literally dragged on his face through fire.
Yeah, he's still gonna look pretty, I'm sure, in the last 3 episodes because it's Ewan McGregor, but like, my goodness gracious, that was savage.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Vader savoring the moment and taking his time with it. And man, the line of what have you become, what you made me, like, oh, that was so good. The delivery, and you could just see it cut right into Obi-Wan. And his fear. Ewan McGregor did such a good job of just showing Obi-Wan being utterly terrified.
Yeah.
And it was a little jarring seeing like one of the most powerful Jedi Masters of the last, generation, just like totally a shadow of himself, giving in to fear and just being like kind of defenseless in the face of this monster. I really enjoyed this back and forth and Vader just like taking his time, kind of like pulling the wings off of a fly, just like it's not gonna be quick.
Ewan plays it well from the end of the last episode when he finds out Anakin's alive. He's petrified this entire episode from that point in time, and he definitely he's definitely acting well.
It's so good. I like that it's in stark opposition to how we see Obi-Wan confront Vader in A New Hope. It's like he's grown so much in the last 10 years from here to there. Really interesting. But I did want to chat real quick about the delivery of those lines, and particularly that line. From what I understand, and there's no clear answer on this if you look it up, so I have a feeling we have to wait until like a gallery episode. It's not James Earl Jones. It is Hayden Christensen, and then they edited his voice with like AI to sound like James Earl Jones.
Well, James Earl Jones is credited.
Correct, because they use his voice for the AI, right? Like you have to pay the man for his voice, even though he's not in the booth. But it's, from what I understand, it's Hayden Christensen's delivery, and then they just edited his voice, which I think is dope, because, I mean, they use body doubles all the time, so it's not always him in the suit. Same with Mando. It's not always Pedro. It's oftentimes someone who's like a movement actor. You know what I mean? Someone who's done mime, or someone who's from the theater, someone who's taken a movement class, in the suit. It's not just a normal actor. Sometimes it's Hayden, but most of the time it won't be. So the fact that we get his voice work, I'm very happy with, because I was like, where is he? And now I know.
Yeah. Well, we've actually seen Anakin. We see
yes.
Hayden in this episode. We see him with
suiting up.
The cloak off in the background.
Yes, that was the best like horror movie moment ever. That was like a Midsummer moment for me, like an Ari Aster horror movie that is just like he's over there and Obi-Wan's like staring at him, and he turns around and it's Anakin, and then he blinks and he's gone, and I was like, that was great. Like, that is so good. Like, Anakin's out here haunting him. It's so cool. Chills.
For the voice, I have seen everything under the sun of what is going on, because like there's no straight answer yet. I've seen CNN reported that it was James Earl Jones, but they have no references to that point, and so
probably just the credits. Probably that's it.
And that's it. That's it. And then James Earl Jones, he's like 91 years old.
He ain't getting out of bed for that. He's like, no. He'll take a paycheck and he'll sit there.
Yeah, he's a little. He's paid his dues.
He's long in the tooth for that kind of thing. And like, listen, my whole thing is, it was always a voice modulator. Like, I'm talking in the world of Star Wars. It's a voice modulator. That's not what Anakin actually sounds like. So it makes sense to me to have Anakin do the thing and then put it through a voice like thing and have it sound like that. That makes sense to me. Like it's more logical than having a completely different person voice Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But I love James Earl Jones. Nothing to sneeze at, but that man's done. Like he's done what he's got to do. Like
he's
good.
He could retire at 91. It's okay.
Yeah. And again, collect a paycheck for his past work. That's great.
I do want to say that watching, I'm almost positive, like it is Hayden walking around in the suit.
Most of the time, yes.
It does
it's
make me
not,
miss David Prowse, because David Prowse had such a presence in the suit in the original trilogy.
Fun fact, it wasn't always David Prowse.
It wasn't always David Prowse, but almost always.
Yes.
David Prowse didn't have the sword fighting ability, so there was another guy that did that. But almost always David Prowse. Hayden does not have the gravitas that David Prowse had. But it's 10 years before that, so maybe he builds up the bulk.
Yeah, he's like 25. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like a 30-year-old Vader. He's not like King of the Universe yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's like a team of people. I've seen those people actually talking online about how, like, yeah, I'm in the suit. Like, in this scene and in that scene and whatever. And they couldn't say it until the episode came out. But they're like circus performers and stuff like that. Like, these are like movement people, because God bless Hayden Christensen.
I'm just picturing trapeze artists in the Darth Vader suit.
They could probably do it. Listen, I would probably say half the time it's Hayden. If I was gonna estimate from what I'm hearing from the industry, half the time it's Hayden, half the time it's not. I think he's doing the saber stuff, because he was training for that, and we've seen him training for that. So, but who the hell, we won't know ever, probably. But anyway, the scene was intense as hell. That's the point. He scared the living hell out of me.
Yes. Gonna change gears a little bit. We can talk Vader the whole episode, I feel like.
We could, easily.
There's a few other things I wanted to hit on. One, I was excited to see Nur again, which is in the Mustafar system, and it's the planet that's the polar opposite of Mustafar. It's a water world where the Inquisitorius headquarters is located. We see it in Jedi Fallen Order, the video game. You actually go there. But yeah, we see fifth brother, third sister, and I forget the other Inquisitors.
We haven't been given her title.
They said her title, and it went in one ear out the other.
Oh, well,
it's like ninth sister or something.
Sure, we'll say that for now. Point is, there's 3 Inquisitors there. We see the headquarters. It's really ominous. It's really cool. And this is clearly an episode about Vader and Obi-Wan primarily, but I do like that they are keeping the storyline with Reva's lust for power and control of the Inquisitors. They're not letting it fall to the wayside just because we're getting the Obi-Wan and Vader confrontation. Fourth sister, Jim thinks, is her name.
According to Nerdist, it's fourth sister.
Okay,
I believe
cool.
That.
So yeah, we get this, and we see her and Reva and fifth brother, kind of like being like, just like arguing, sibling rivalry. And then we also see, and this really hammered home the theory that I think we all kind of maybe agreed on last time. When we see Reva discover the safe house when she's searching for Obi-Wan and Leia, and she kind of uses the Force to detect it and moves the false wall, we see her find, she's the one, I believe, that as she's looking around the room is the first to locate the Jedi Order crest.
Yes.
And we see her kind of running her hands over it. And for me, I was like, okay, she's a former Jedi and probably the kid, almost definitely the kid we saw at the start of the show running through the temple, almost getting murdered. Like, this really, like, nailed it for me.
That seems to be the popular theory online, too. Like, I wasn't unique in thinking that. I was curious about the Inquisitors because I had heard that their numbers were their rank, but it seems to me that they completely disregard that here because the fifth brother was saying, I was next in line to the third sister. And she's like, wait, no, I just talked to Vader. He says it's me. So it seems to be like their numbers don't have anything to do with their rank at all.
I don't think so. I don't know what. It's probably just like when they were brought on or whatever. You know, like that would be the order. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I like we know so much about Vader, and we've gotten so many stories about him, but the Inquisitors are relatively new by that standard. So I love any little bit of lore we get on them and their backstories. Like that's the thing that really I want more of from them is how did each of them get to where they are now? Like how did each of them become an Inquisitor? That's the stuff that I love getting lore on because it's such an interesting thing. Like how do you go from being a Jedi or a Force user to being an Inquisitor, someone who's recognized by the Emperor as part of the Empire and one of his most trusted kind of secret police forces, but you're a Force user. You know, technically, in a way, you're a threat. You're not a true Sith. You're not a Jedi. You're just this, like, weird middle ground of dark side user. And that, to me, is, like, one of the most interesting aspects of the show. So I'm loving every little bit, every interaction we get with them and every little bit about Reva and her past.
We've had almost 10 Inquisitors through various comics, shows, video games, and I don't know if we have ever actually gotten a from point A to point B. How did you go from what you were, Jedi or whatever you were, to the Inquisitor system? Because we've seen in Rebels, we saw the Grand Inquisitor as he was a
Temple Guard,
but we never saw him transition over to the Inquisitors, and none of the other ones, as far as I'm aware, have we ever seen that transition over.
No, I don't think we have either. I think the Grand Inquisitor as a Temple Guard is as closest that we've ever gotten, and he had those cool flashbacks with Kanan. Kanan, excuse me.
Caleb?
But yeah.
Caleb, Kanan, same boy. Yes.
We all know who we're talking about. The point is, I want more information on these people. I want a book on Inquisitors. I want comics. I would love like a We're Bad People show about them just hunting down Jedi.
Bad people.
We're bad people. That's the title of the show. We're bad people.
So I agree with you here, though. I think that's what we're getting with Third Sister. I think we are getting her origin story, essentially.
Yeah. I still want to know what's going on with the Grand Inquisitor. I'm so confused.
He's dead, obviously.
But he's not. But he can't be. But listen. People are yelling about how, they're retconning Rebels. And I'm like, they're not. Stop. They're obviously not. So just, I don't know how we get from where we are to he's big bad again. I don't know. It seems interesting.
See, that Grand Inquisitor was this Grand Inquisitor's brother.
I honestly,
they both had the
same
name.
Instinct.
They're both called. They both were born, and their parents gave them the name Grand Inquisitor.
Grand Inquisitor.
Right. And so that way, you could just switch them out, and you won't even know.
Right. Yeah, man. I'm just interested to see what they do with that. How does one go down a hallway and somehow end up at the end of that hallway before the person that they're chasing? How?
I don't think she went down the hallway. I think she went around the other way.
You see that I could buy.
That would make more sense. Either that, she's also a 10-year-old little girl that they told to run down a hallway by herself.
Yeah.
How many, you don't know that she went in a straight line. You don't know that she went in the right way. She doesn't know if she's going in the right way because the one person that was supposed to take her left.
Right.
You had one job.
I guess Leia's Force sensitive, so she could probably, figure it out instinctively, right? But, that, I was like, okay, but okay, fine. How do hallways work in space?
I don't know. It definitely has offshoots.
Oh, yeah. You know what? There's an important character that we haven't really talked about.
Who's that?
I don't remember his designation, but the loader droid.
Oh, the loader droid.
Oh, yeah, Yeah, the loader droid. What a guy. His, like, wrench or whatever in his hand. Like, he was ready to beat somebody down. I loved him.
I really enjoyed the loader droid. I thought it was just, like, such a charming little character.
Yeah. Like, he can't communicate, and yet he's, like, ready to go to war with a wrench. What a guy.
He could have taken out, like, all of them with a wrench. Like, we know those armors don't stop nothing.
Nothing, not a thing, not a damn thing.
They're actually worse for you than if you didn't have any armor on, as we saw in Gregor's case.
You're right.
So when we left off, I watched this the day it came out and recording on Monday, so it's been almost a week, so bear with me, my old man memory. Tala rescued Obi-Wan. The flames kind of saved him and stopped Vader. And that's where it ended, right? Like, we didn't see him or Leia actually get off the planet yet, did we?
Leia got picked up by Reva.
That's right.
Probably
that's
off
right.
the planet. I don't think Obi-Wan got off the planet yet.
The last we saw of Obi-Wan, I'm literally watching it this second, is we just see him running away from Vader. Obi-Wan kind of blows something up, and then we're jumping. That's right. He's standing by the flames. He's standing by the Vader can't walk through the flames because if we remember, he has a bad experience with fire.
He has some trauma.
And he's watching as the loader droid carries Obi-Wan away, and then Leia finds a new friend.
Yes, and Reva, who I somehow did not pick up on that was her right away. And I was like, "Ooh, who's the pilot?" And then,
Pilot's taking a nap.
Yeah, pilot ain't around.
Oh, I just remembered something. Sorry.
Yeah?
I'm just thinking about the episode.
I hope.
I'm going to go in a different direction briefly here. So, Jim, you mentioned this to me in Discord when I brought up Quinlan Vos. Can you remind everyone, can you share with everyone the point you brought up about Quinlan specifically in Discord?
The fact that this is exactly the role that he played in Legends.
Yes. And what was that?
Basically, he had survived the Order 66 in Legends, and he was playing basically the ferry. He was helping to other Jedi Knights to get to safety.
Now, who is a Jedi that escaped the temple, that we don't know how they escaped the temple, but they're not officially a Jedi at this point. They've turned their back on the path, but they escaped the temple and we don't know how.
So you're talking about Reva?
No, I'm talking about...
Are we wondering if Quinlan Vos...
I'm talking about someone
Grogu!
Small. Yeah, like what if
Grogu!
What if Quinlan saved Grogu?
I would love that for
or
everybody involved.
what if Quinlan helped get Reva out and we see, either way, I would love it if it came out and we eventually saw a scene, whether it's through books, comic, whatever medium, that Quinlan is responsible for getting either Reva and or Grogu out. I think that would be super cool.
I feel like they didn't just mention Quinlan for like Easter egg reasons. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they named him because they're hinting that we're gonna see him. Like, they only name characters to remind you that they exist. I would be shocked if they made Ewan McGregor say Quinlan Vos's name and then they didn't bring Quinlan Vos into the show. Or a live action show. I'd be shocked.
Okay. Let me tie it together for you really quick.
Then.
I'm going to involve Quinlan and tie Reva together and her hatred of Obi-Wan. Quinlan gets Reva out, and during that, he explains to her that the Jedi attacking and killing people is Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan's apprentice, and she hates Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan trained Anakin.
Yeah, probably. That sounds right to me. Or wouldn't she, as a baby youngling person, know that? Like, no, like
Not
if she knows that
There's
it's Anakin
thousands of
Skywalker,
Jedi.
wouldn't they know that, like, on the council, like, this is two Jedi on the council, that Obi-Wan was Anakin's master?
It's definitely possible, but
It's possible that you just know that, so then she could put it together. She could know who Anakin is. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, but it's possible. It's certainly possible that someone mentioned that to her.
Man. Well,
I have a lot of questions.
I got one more Easter egg that I remembered as I was watching the end here. They are headed. Their next stop supposedly is a planet called Jabim, which is actually another Legends planet. It was one of the comic arcs had the Battle of Jabim. It was one of the major battles during the Clone Wars. At least in Legends it was.
Anakin and Obi-Wan against Ventress and her robot friends, right?
I believe so. It's been a very long time. I recognize the name. I'm like, hey, I know that planet. So that's all I have. So I think with that, we can call it a week. I believe the next episode is called Part 4.
So that's a bold assumption, my friend.
I think he could be right.
I don't know for certain, but it's that's the rumor going around in my head.
All right.
So until next week, we hope that you enjoyed listening. You can reach us through email, talkintauntauns@aiptcomics.com. You can find us on Twitter @Talkin Tauntauns. You could join us on Discord through our Patreon with AIPT Comics. And until then, until next week, until Part 4, we'll see you next week.